Dire team ban. Wings Gaming's turn to ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Dire team pick.
Shadow Demon.
Wings Gaming's turn to pick. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Warlock. Axe.
Dire team pick. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Luna. Wings Gaming's turn to ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time. Dire team ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time. Wings Gaming's turn to ban.
In-game mic, if you haven't already, I would suggest the same here, but it's a good thing I caught it now.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, I'm just, you know, open mic team. I didn't have mine on. I understand, guys, so don't worry about that. My apologies. I'm in the game right now, and for those of you who are not watching in the client, you're tuning in, of course, at twitch.tv/Dota Major 4, where we'll be doing the coverage. So let's actually talk about the draft at hand here. It looks like we are going to be opening up, as I mentioned, in the pregame with Warriors Gaming taking the first pick as they won the coin flip, and that means that Wings wanted to have Radiant side. So with the first pick, Warriors Gaming go with the old trusty here, Draskell, Shadow Demon, and Luna for their 1-2 punch. Wings Gaming, well, they'll go with one of the big keys that got them a lot of success against Shadow Demon at TI, and that's a Warlock, and then they pair it with an Axe.
Yeah, I like the way that Wings open up the draft. It's kind of oldish meta versus new meta, because Shadow Demon Luna was obviously very prevalent at TI, and then people started to find ways either ban it or just find a way to play against it. But I personally like what the Warlock Axe combination gives you, because it's not just the ability to initiate, it's also to disengage simultaneously. You offer a ton of extra damage to things like Fatal Bonds. The hero is actually very strong in lane as well. He's not an easy support to bully, so there's no real weakness there. Whereas Shadow Demon, he kind of has a very set purpose in the lineup, and he's not necessarily the best support in lane. He is more of just something that can help set up for kills if there's another hero on your team that can actually contribute to dealing damage, or has some kind of disable. So way back you saw like invokers and whatnot with their sunstrikes, just adding another disable between them to actually have some early game impact. And the other thing too about an axe opening is, depending on how they lane it, or if they want to just put the axe in a position to get a really fast blink, it's kind of hard to stop that when you open with a Shadow Demon Luna, because neither of the heroes are actually aggressive in any way. But I'm sure Warriors Gaming has a plan, and we'll go ahead and see how it unfolds.
I would hope so. I mean, when you're looking at opportunity, when you already know going into the draft that you're going to have first pick, and I would imagine on their mind, it's like, hey, Shadow Demon's probably up there as one of our great options if we happen to have first pick. But they don't even ban, the common ban that we saw at TI for it, putting more value into the Nyx Assassin and OD. I mean, I can't, at the same time, can I really fault them? As I already said, it's Wings Gaming. You don't really even know what you want to ban against them, what you find as their most scariest threat in the, coming out of the gate of the draft. But we'll have to see if maybe it segues into something a bit different that they could, use the power of this Shadow Demon Luna against Wings. But as we go into now, yeah, probably. That would be pretty nice. Mm-hmm.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Mm-hmm.
Reserve time.
So let's see what matches up and is the few options that could handle something against the Invoker. For now, not too much to have in the roaming threat department, but as you said, Warriors Gaming looking to eliminate some of those options there with the Mirana. So something to go into here from Warriors Gaming now. The last time they had kind of a similar draft here. I mean, we have a Shadow Demon in their previous C Kappa matchup, but no Luna to pair with it. They have been fond of pairing what looks like a Rubik together with the Shadow Demon frequently. I don't know if that's going to be an option they fall back on now. It's not like, I mean, Rock is a pretty prominent option, but they actually opt to go for the Earth Spirit. One of the very few heroes, Draskell, that I like to, get a bit more or harp on a bit more, just because I had like a weird thing with Earth Spirit and I loved playing him, and he used to be super into the meta, as we all know, but now is just almost feels a bit niche. I mean, unless he's of course in the hands of like a true specialist, if you will, your Jerixes and your crits and such, or maybe even your dogfights. But here Warriors Gaming going to show their own Earth Spirit potential here. I'll have to see how good it is. Magic damage kind of seems to fall a little flat overall, especially his with the small AoE. But here going against his Earthen brother, if you will, Earthshaker now coming out by Wings.
That's it's really disruptive to what they want to do. If you look at Warriors Gaming, Shadow Demon's main job is to like sit behind during the mid-late game when you're sieging. You disrupt the Luna walks up. If you ever get out of position or you're ever in a team fight when you already have so many ways of engaging in those types of positions, Earthshaker can just be a total nightmare because of things like, obviously, Echo Slam. If you get caught out, it's a real bummer. And because of the fact that they already have one initiator, it makes Earthshaker's job a lot easier because he can just wait. The axe can go in, you still have Golem to fall back on just in case things go south, and eventually the Earthshaker's just going to get a chance just by the way the fights are actually going to break out. So I think that it seems a little bit wonky to have Axe and Earthshaker on the same team because the synergy isn't like super apparent. One of them like blocks your pathing, the other one kind of wants to go in and blink, and they can kind of disrupt each other. But I think the idea that they're going for actually makes a lot of sense here. And Warriors Gaming picking up the Tinker, it's a really good hero actually against what Wings have because their high ground potential is pretty much none.
Yeah.
They have to pick some kind of position 1 hero that can really hit buildings. Like my first instinct would be like a Terrorblade or something, just a hero that really can mow down towers. But I mean, it's Wings, so whatever they're thinking, I'm sure it's gonna have some good potential.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with the Tinker fact and the potential to kind of stall things out, and that's really what a Tinker wants, and I'm sure Luna would love as well, is being able to kind of push the duration of this match so that they can really thrive in the later game. But as we see for most Tinker games, it requires that bit of a build-up. got to get not just the boots, but really the blink together with it to hope that you can really begin to safely farm it up. And now when you're already going against the potential of, blinking axes, warlocks dropping rocks in the trees to stop you or what have you, he's got to be extra careful in this one. So we'll have to see if he's going to get that opportunity to really reach that Tinker's stride or not against Wings, and what Wings are going to get for that final piece of the puzzle to potentially contest the Tinker, contest his high ground game and his heavy mobility, if you will, because there's already a decent amount of mobility between this Tinker and Earth Spirit that can make some potential setup plays. But now going into the final bands, Bat Rider's got to go from the side of Wings, and now Warriors Gaming got to consider what are those core options, and they get rid of the Jug.
I mean, the Jug is actually nice in another way. It's a hero that hits towers, sure, but the healing ward can be a massive nuisance when your entire game plan is making sure that the enemy team doesn't have the health to high ground. So getting rid of a core that offers sustain is actually another really good way of going about it. That'll leave Wings one less hero that is actually going to be able to sustain their push, because right now all they really have is like Warlock heal. Might even be forced into buying an urn really early if they want to try to get those early towers. And Warriors Gaming going to finish things off with the Sand King. So they have a tremendous amount of team fight in the way of magical damage, right? You have Magnetize, you have Epi, you have Luna Eclipse as well as Tinker, and Pugna's gonna round things out. So I'm guessing this is what, farming Pugna?
It all depends on this axe.
Oh no,
Faith Beyond picks up, so it does look like it is going to be a core position Pugna.
No, Faith Beyond's playing Pugna, so it's Shadow Axe, right?
Could have sworn, wasn't Faith Beyond their offlane player? Am I dumb?
Yeah, Shadow's their core. You said farming Pugna.
Yeah. Faith Beyond Pugna.
Okay, maybe I
Shadow
misheard.
core.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy.
Oh, I mean, maybe I did miss that, but I'm looking at a core Pugna and core axe here, so still be interesting.
So they're gonna do
Earthshaker
2-1-2, I
Ice
guess, right?
Okay. Yeah. I would imagine. Offlane Pugna solo is, I don't know. He is extremely frail. Really
he
frail.
falls over.
So it's like this guy needs some serious milk and calcium in his life. He needs a pair in hand. And I'm always a bit suspect of the early game of the Pugna, but we have seen many a time what he is able to bring to the table, especially against the lineup like Warrior Gaming that has such hefty magical output here. A Tinker will cringe, surely. Once he gets to that point when he can unleash everything he has to offer, but with a Pugna ward in the vicinity, it would be very, very sketchy. So it's going to be an exciting matchup here. Based on the Pugna pick, does that kind of say Wings are, I don't want to always say, playing against the clock, but are they looking to kind of, close things out sooner than later?
Yeah, I think that the Pugna is a great, actually an amazing choice, because not only, like you mentioned, the Nether Ward, but I've talked about this a lot when I see Pugna in Dota, is that he's a non-committal pushing hero. So you can walk up to the tower and blast it and just walk away. You're never actually putting your team at risk of taking a fight. And even if you did, there's a fissure to fall back on, there's a golem to fall back on, there's blink call. Like, there's so many methods that Wings can disrupt Warriors Gaming from actually getting a kill that I think it's going to be quite difficult for them to stop the early siege. Like, once March gets online and Nana's got that blink dagger and whatnot, he can be a nuisance and make sure that Wings won't be able to just continually hit towers, which will pretty much be their game plan. They want the Luna to get 6 slotted and then use disruption to kind of carry the late game. But up until that point, I think that Wings have a lot of methods that they can use to dictate the pace. And we did see a nice D ward, by the way, there from Warriors Gaming, so they're going to get that ward down pretty much straight up on the hill. And it doesn't look like Wings are going to find anything of their own just yet.
Yeah, with that ward going down, does leave poor little Faith Beyond at his lonesome and a bit in the dark here on his offlane Pugna. And as it stands right now, he is heading up to that lane at solo, but it looks like Ice, after possibly dropping down a early fissure. No, it doesn't look like he did. Is going to be heading that way now. So it is going to be kind of a duo matchup. Actually, full aggro here, as Y is also going to be making his way up to that top lane. So we are going to have the tri-lane here to match up against the Shadow Demon and the Luna. So a lot of pressure potentially coming their way in this top lane very soon. And on the other side of the coin, you have Shadow bottom lane. He's, for now at least, holding and happy to go toe-to-toe with the single Sand King. But I don't know. I don't even think Earth Spirit is going to do a lot to this axe. Can't do a lot without some levels.
It's going to be quite tough, and the way that Shadow playing it is really clever. You can see he's come prepared. He knew that his team was going to aggro. Saw a quick TP out there as well, back to the tower from Ajit. But I don't really know what the Earth Spirit's going to do. I think if he rolls in and the Sand King's level 2, they can get a pretty good amount of damage on him, but I don't think they could actually kill unless Shadow eats too many caustics.
Oh, he's going to go for a roll, but it is a miss. As he falls
he
behind,
did.
so Shadow's going to stand right in the creeps and go for the call and try to get the spins out. Not going to get enough to get the kill on the Sand King, but the burrow out, and now Shadow only relying on RNG as the whole time Apu had been knocking him down with the mighty bat right there, and that was enough damage to get it done.
That was pretty greedy from Shadow. I mean, I guess you could say he was maybe unlucky because he had a full creep wave attacking him and he only spun one time before Kangaroo got to burrow strike away. But he got the extra auto attack off because of the Caustic, and the Caustic slow actually ended up killing him. He was like permanently slowed that entire time. They might go again.
They may. He's got almost level 2 on the Earth Spirit, but it does look like they are going to make a rotation over on the side of Wings, valuing the momentum in the lane stage early on. The Warlock comes in, but they would have made their move for Shadow here, and it looks like they may be able to get it, and they will. Man. But a little bit of damage will be spread between the two. Sunstrike, admirable one there on the side shot, but not going to catch anybody.
Man, he is... He's playing very cocky. I mean, it's typical of an Axe player to try to abuse the enemy creep wave, especially against melee heroes, to try to get early kills, and maybe just overestimating how much level 1 Shadow Word actually does in regards to his survivability, but he can't afford to just like keep walking into the creep wave and dying. He doesn't need to make those like comeback plays or anything like that. Looks like we're gonna see Apu just suicide to Roche, get back to base. But yeah, a really good start here from Warriors Gaming because they don't put Shadow in this position necessarily to have a bad game. They kind of assume that he's going to be able to get his farm, and with so much pressure being applied to him, his blink timing is going to be delayed quite a bit.
And it's continuing to look pretty nice also for Warriors Gaming, even in the mid lane here, Andy, as the Invoker's suffering a little bit. 8-3 CS, Tinker 17-7. Definitely putting in some extra mileage with the help of that laser, but he's off to a pretty good start. And because that Earth Spirit was able to engage in all that action in the bottom lane, he has some skills to work with. Looks to go for the mid, doesn't connect with the rolling boulder, but does get the hit with the stun. But without the connection of the rolling boulder, it's not going to be good enough. Maybe at that point you can block the Invoker a bit in front of him and slow him down, but without the extra damage, it's certainly not going to be good enough.
It's pretty risky. He's got a full Aquila, and he also has a Sal plus a Fairy Fire, so committing to that onto the tower might have resulted in a bit of a turnaround kill, but Nana's doing a fantastic job. Like, Tinker in the early couple of levels is very difficult to deal with, because as Exort Invoker, you're really kind of waiting for the double Forge spirits to come online before your lane dominance truly takes shape, and every time you cold snap Nana, he's just going to laser you, and then you're doing, like, no damage instead of having, like, 2 things hit simultaneously with cold snap, which is usually the threat. But bottom lane, looks like they're actually going to finally rotate the ESOA. We did see him roll on mid. It's going to give a bit more room back to Shadow. And with that being said, it doesn't really seem like the early game... Like, Wings originally went aggro to try to stop the Luna from farming. She's still farming on par with Shadow.
Oh, man. It looks like they're going to get Faith Beyond here. Set up wonderfully from Nova with that disruption. Allows the rolling boulder, but they got rotation in with a fissure, but Faith Beyond is actually blocked at the very back end. He's going to be able to eat the tree, and he just squeezes himself right out. But, oh, man, that could have been disaster. Certainly Ice to the rescue. Oh, bottom lane. Sunstrike. Kangaroo going to get knocked down on that one. Beautifully set up there from Wings, and they get themselves on the board for this game.
And that was a really nice set of plays there. Kangaroo actually like burrow struck out of call as it happened as well from Shadow. So there was multiple plays happening at the same time. It was kind of cool to see. But so far, I'm looking at Warriors Gaming, and they're getting what they need. Even with the death on the Sand King, he's already got a kill to his name. He's got his Tranquil's finish. He's freaking level 5. I mean, it's not like he's going to be struggling by any stretch of the imagination during this early game. And the earlier he gets a blink, they can make their own aggressive moves between the blink dagger on the Sand King and also having the Earth Spirit to roll in.
Yeah, for sure. And as the Sand King gets closer to the epicenter online, more levels come together, but it does look like Nova will deny himself, actually. But yeah, do you think that he has to wait all the way until the blink dagger comes online for this Sand King before it's time to make an impact on Warriors Gaming, or should he just get Epi and try to find some openings at that point? I mean, they are the team that scales a bit better. They have what looks like the better start. Are they rushed to make action happen, or could they, take things a bit slow for now?
I mean, they can play reactionary Dota, but I think in these types of patches, it's more about what you can take away from the enemy more than it is what you can actually do for yourself in a lot of cases. So if they get the early blink, then I do think that setting up a smoke gank would be probably the best thing they can do. Because if you're a team that already scales very well and you have an early lead and map control, then that's the trifecta. That's exactly what you want to happen.
Now we could see some potential action here. Bottom lane, Burrow sets it up. Shadow sees that we have a revisitor here as Afu comes back to the bottom lane. Sunstrike to help, but it is mitigated between the two. He's trying to go for an ambitious dunk, but it's not there. Not enough spins to be able to get it between the both. And now it's Y caught between the two. He's going to try to run himself on out, but he gets rolled upon and he goes down. Afu making more marks in the early game here. Now in the bottom as Warriors Gaming pull ahead 4-1 Draskell against your TI6 champions.
My god, dude, that was so nicely played. The unfortunate part was the Sunstrike was split between the two heroes, so the dunk and the...
Top lane, sorry, as it looks like we have a disruption out, and an Eclipse still not good enough to even get Faith Beyond, as he still manages to walk away. Well, we have an Eclipse down. Bad RNG, it looks like. Seems to be the name of the game, really, for both sides, between spins and now those Lucent Beams. Pugna's, who has no life at all and probably should have gone down after 2 beams, somehow seems to be able to walk away.
Yeah, that hero has 1.2 strength gain. That ain't a strong man that we saw walking away with no HP. I mean, I guess on the bright side here for Wings, we can look at mid and we can say, all right, you know, Blink's made a pretty nice recovery. He's almost to that level 8 where he's going to have the double forge. That's when he really starts to be able to farm the lane out and then go farm the jungle as well. It'll accelerate his farm quite a bit. And I guess Nana, he's sitting on 1,300 gold, going straight for the bots, not going to go for the soul ring either. Just wants that mobility as soon as humanly possible. Even going to throw out a scan, maybe assuming that Wings are making some kind of rotation on them, but currently they're still bottom. And I guess Shadow, he's opted out of going for the Blink Dagger. He just wants to go for the Vanguard. They are stacking Ancients for him now, so Ice is going to make that Vanguard turn into a Blink real fast.
Yeah, it doesn't look like those Ancients would be slated for really anyone else. And I would imagine if things had gone a bit differently, Shadow would have changed the course of action for the way he itemizes. But yeah, it looks like with the situation he's been put into and how the game's progressing and how the level 6s are going to be coming online, they're going to need him to have some serious meat on the bones, if you will. So he'll try to bulk up as fast as possible here, but the pressure does still continue from Warriors Gaming across the map. They really haven't felt the need, with the exception of that very minor rotation from Afu. They haven't really had to change a whole lot up, so they're getting a lot going. The top lane's completely free, but here comes mid lane where Wings are trying to set a rotation. They're trying to slow down the momentum of this ridiculous Tinker, and they might get it now. The Pugna coming in with that life drain suck. They get it done, no problem. He even drops a nice little ceremonial ward on top.
Yeah, that was a very nicely executed gank there. And the unfortunate part was they kind of read that rotation, but they read it like a minute too early because they threw the scan around where it might have actually hit them when they were coming through the river if he had put it down at that point in time. But unfortunately, a little bit too early. And the response so far from Warriors Gaming just seems to be to pressure lanes. They're going to send Afu back towards mid, but he's only level 4. No Magnetize just yet. And I don't think that they have enough mana to actually... Are they going to let this fall? Oh, here we go. 2
seconds, he will have some boots to spread out even more mana here, but Nana's back now, and he quickly tries to start getting some of these March machines down, but they are going to be able to get the tower. No deny will be had, and Wings Gaming, though they fall behind in kills, will take the first structure of the game, but looking to get their own top lane. Rock's going to get dropped as they go. Big damage comes out, and they're going to be able to take what looks like 2 here. Jet is going to be taken down at the end of that, and suddenly our game is back even. Man, Wings get something done in the mid lane and do not hesitate a second to make the jump happen at the top.
That was so nicely coordinated as well. They dropped the Golem, then the Fissure into the Sunstrike to get the first kill, and now they can just pressure the tier 1. And they know that, you know, they're either going to be forced to TP straight back to lane, or they're just going to have to watch that next tier 1 die. And so far, it looks like he's just going to die too.
Ooh, Sunstrike just off the mark. The Fissure also not going to be able to block him in, so Nova will live on this day. But he cannot offer any sort of solid defense for now on that top lane, so he may have to do that little walk of shame all the way back. This does open things up back on that bottom lane. Kangaroo, he got some good levels in, gets back to the top lane now. A successful fight here could earn him a Blink Dagger and really take the momentum over. So this is a huge gank opportunity right now. They're moving on in. The tower goes down. They have an Eclipse. They're looking to catch him on the way back, and they could do so. There goes the Eclipse. The Burrow's going to be on the Warlock here. Now he has no rock. They're going to quickly take down the Earthshaker, and it looks like Y is going to be isolated here and quickly shredded apart. 3 go down. All 3 that were standing in that top lane. The gank was successful. That's a blink.
Yeah, they needed that too, because you can't just give away 2 tier 1s back to back and almost lose a hero and not get any sort of rebuttal for it at all. I mean, during this entire time too, we have to keep in mind that Nana, he didn't even have to come. He had his bots. He just decided that his team was fine on their own. He's able to push out the bottom lane a little bit, take pressure off that off lane tier 1. And now with the bots online, it's, you know, it's kind of like that clock that we were talking about. If he gets a Blink Dagger, his Soul Ring going, he can start to become a real problem in his fights because he can pretty much be anywhere he needs to be. And that's the kind of global presence you want with a hero like Shadow Demon because he's the setup. And then you're going to be looking at like Blink Burrow Strikes now coming in from Kangaroo. And Magnetize is now available on Afu. So all the teamfight utilities that we were talking about for Warriors Gaming and all the things they need before they can start taking these engagements, they're all online now.
Oh yeah, they are at a serious power peak right here and now, especially after that recent gank, and the pressure is on Wings to make something happen. I don't know what it's going to be here, if they need a bit more time before they can come together as a 5-man. I don't know if that time is when Shadow gets his Blink Dagger, but now with Tinker having all that mobility to work around, sure, Pugna's a great tool to have against him, but Tinker can now just pick and choose what fights he wants to really be a part of, as we saw there previous here. So as long as he's able to kind of keep that ward in check like we see right now, he would hopefully not run into too many problems as he works on this bottom lane. Warriors Gaming now back on the move here. They have a smoke, they have Magnetize now on their Earth Spirit, so they want to take a team fight.
The problem is if they smoke up, they're going to be walking into high ground potentially of where Wings are. Looks like they're going to go for the tower wraparound.
Now there is a rock online. The ultis are all online here now from both sides, so our first real firework of a fight could be here momentarily, but Warrior Gaming taking the long road, getting down a couple of pretty deep wards here in the mid lane. They are creeping in towards this middle. Man, look at Wings positioning, hiding, turtling right up on the high ground of the other side.
This is so hard to fight into. Like,
yeah.
I don't think Warriors Gaming can walk into this. It's just suicide. They're way too well positioned. They might do a soul siege in the tower.
Dunks and rocks potentially away. Oh my god, the damage there on the Luna will wipe her out immediately. Kangaroo's going to be forced to Burrow Strike to get back in away, but he is not going to be able to make it too far. There's the dunk, there's the call. Wings Gaming, like a bat out of hell, Andy. They will also get the follow-up as they take down Nana, it looks like, in the bottom lane from Pugna. 3 across the board. They set to strike, and they do it at the drop of a hat.
I'm actually kind of confused at how Nana died to Faith Beyond, but I'm just gonna say Faith Beyond God, and we're just gonna leave it at that. Because I don't actually know how that happens.
Yeah, he must have had like a ward down and then got off a full life drain, and Tinker's just sitting there like, I can't do anything about it right now. But
yeah, I mean, it's possible.
Or maybe he saw the mess maybe mid lane and tried to be a call to action and unfortunately got caught out. But here we go, mid lane, jump in off Boo. He's able to get the Magnetize off now, spreads it between the two. It looks like Shadow could be not set for this world, and he is going to be refreshing that Magnetize very nicely. Shadow's certainly done for. Tries to go off with the call. Here comes Blink, looking to step in, tries to get off a bit of a combo, not going to be able to do it. They continue to chase out and away here. Is the pursuit on here? No, it looks like they'll cancel out. Sand King, of course, eating that continual damage is not going to allow him to blink in.
I mean, so far, you know, during the early laning phase, Warriors Gaming had a really nice couple of kills on Shadow. They got the decent time blink on Kangaroo. They were farming pretty well on the Luna. They even got a kill or two, but it just seems like after the laning phase is over, Wings just make incredibly precise plays at the drop of a hat. Like, they don't hesitate at all. They get the kill on the Luna when they were fighting mid. They don't even care about dropping the rock for it. You're gonna see an epic channel here.
Yep, Kangaroo looking to go in. Ice, well, is going to be taken apart. Ice did a nice job trying to be in a very defensive position for those creeps, in case, let's say, Warriors Gaming were nearby, but still, as you can see, it does not matter. Shadow is still rummaging around a bit, but it looks like Warriors Gaming are going to be able to make it out the other side, and they'll take their successful pick. As I mentioned, you know, I wasn't able to follow Warriors Gaming a whole lot coming into the majors because it wasn't the region I was really covering for the qualifier, but you know, it's pretty obvious. You know, Wings are a bit sharper when it comes to being able to execute pinpoint attacks like that, but it does look like Warriors Gaming are still riding on the back of a strong laning phase and, you know, overall pretty good meta lineup, if you will. So let's just have to see if they can kind of hold on to that here as they continue to pressure for a couple more tier 1s here in the bottom lane.
It's just important to keep in mind what each lineup is meant to do. Like, Warriors Gaming don't mind if the game goes like a little bit later because they have the Tinker to fall back on, the Shadow Demon Luna. Whereas Wings, you can see that every time they go for a play, they're trying to get an objective. They're trying to push a tower. We do see a 4-man smoke here. They were showing the Invoker top not too long ago. Gonna hit the scan as well.
They are running up and
They're
around.
gonna try to
This
catch
could
him on the
be-
retreat, I guess.
This is like a
Because I think
major...
Warriors Gaming are going to be expecting him to come from a different angle, and they're going to go in straight behind him, and they are not going to see this one coming.
Kangaroo's in position to pop smokes on the way in from the direct left side, but they come up north instead. They jump on the back, and they instantly take out that Tinker. Now the Rock's going to be coming down, and Tinker's looking to get back in. Drops on the back of a little Satyr creep, and that's going to be good enough to get in there. They lose one per piece, and now the 2's going to get dropped on the side of Wings. They hustle to make their way back out, but the Magnetize does spread. Now Blink, the man on the back end, trying to make his chase out and away. Gets hit with a rocket. Rolling Boulder, though, not going to be able to get connection. On the other side, Luna is going to get dropped there from the Warlock, and Blink's going to be able to ghost walk out. On the other front, Faith Beyond eats an epi and will be taken apart. It is a 4-for-1 trade at the end of the day. All going for Warriors Gaming.
I mean, Wing's idea was actually really nice, because typically, if a team is expecting you to come from a certain angle, they'll always position their tankiest initiators on that side, so they can take the brunt of the smoke. But they caught Nana straight away. And that already is like, okay, that's a pretty good fight. But the problem was Nana fought back instantly, and then they were fighting into an Eclipse with only a Golem to split damage with. And they got magnetized as well, and it spread. So there's just a ridiculous amount of magic damage being dealt to them, to the point where even though they got a good angle on the engagement, there was just way too much damage to be able to absorb it all, and they just pretty much lost everybody except for Blink. And they lost the tower anyway. So all things considered, that was a pretty resounding success there for Warriors Gaming.
Now looking over some of the items here that we've been seeing picked up from like the side of Wings, with all that ridiculous magic damage you're just talking about there, it looks like Shadow might be going for a blade mail, but I mean, I'm not one to judge Wings, but do you think maybe a hood / pipe is something they need to consider in this particular game at some point?
It's a great item, no doubt, but I think the way that Shadow's looking at this is, okay, we know that their team functions off of pretty much purely magic damage at this point. Like, BKBs are going to destroy Warriors Gaming's lineup. Like, they just do nothing to BKB targets until Luna has farm, which is fine. But you kind of also need to be able to kill them too, whereas having a pipe, it might help you absorb a bit of the damage, but the blade mail, you can't use Eclipse as Luna if you don't have BKB against blade mail. You just kill yourself. It's really, really bad. So that could be the line of thinking here. He could also be waiting for perhaps Faith Beyond to pick it up after Aghanims. I think Pugna's a pretty good pipe carrier. Oh, that's a dead Shadow.
Yeah, Shadow is 1000% dead. He's been hanging in hideout in those trees for quite a while. We watched the whole story unfold as he was eventually scanned and spotted there by Kangaroo, and eventually they just went in and caught him. So not good for him, unfortunately. Not at the top lane here. Eats a little bit of roaming damage there from the Pugna, but is just there to kind of get these lanes pushed back, so that job is done. And Wings just kind of getting back into the grind of kind of keeping this pressure off when possible, but as already repeated, they're the lineup that needs to succeed sooner. Wings Gaming happy to kind of play with the clock a bit more and push the pace a bit as they farm through a giant stack for Oddjit right now, getting closer to being able to secure what looks like his Dragon Lance.
Yeah, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, you know, if he's not making BKB now, they're feeling very comfortable, because that means they're thinking for the later stage of the game when you have like 3 or 4 items and you buy a BKB, then your power spike is just that much better. And the more time they can buy for Oddjit to buy that BKB, the better, because it just means you're getting more items that allow you to farm faster, and that's, you know, obviously more GPM and whatnot makes you a stronger carry. But Wings, they're coming up the hill here. They got everything.
They have that ward on the high ground. They don't know Kangaroo might be in the pit, though, is the problem. And he can make a jump over the big epicenter, but there's going to be the go. And the good burrow catches him on the back inside. Can they take out the Warlock before a rock can even come out here? No, they will not. The rock's going to get dropped right now, and that's when Earthspitter and Warriors Gaming are going to be fending off Wings. Swinging a miss on the rolling boulder there. High Size commits it with the Epi to get down the Sand King. He will get dropped. Dominating now is going to be Blink, but at the end of the day, that's the only casualty of this skirmish.
Afu played that unbelievably well. Like, he got 2 Geomagnetic Grip Silences mid-animation on a call and a Cole. Like, he He stopped
Yep.
Ajit from getting taunted, which almost guaranteed would have been a kill, unless the Shadow Demon was close enough to disrupt. I actually don't know if Nova was close, so maybe he would have got disrupted. But the problem with that fight is Wings are engaging uphill into like this really small concave with, again, nothing to absorb a clip. So as soon as that taunt fails, they're like, oh crap, we actually can't fight this anymore, and then they just want to get out. The amazing part is they actually didn't lose anybody. I thought for sure they were going to lose at least 1 or 2 there, but they managed to disengage and still pick up the Sand King. So what looked to be almost a disastrous engagement, Wings managed to make look not too bad.
Yeah, it does cost them their rock and their potential fighting power for the next few moments, but it does not appear Warriors Gaming are going to be too urgent to take advantage of that. I say that, but now I look over and there's smoke. So they are going to be looking to take advantage of the fact that there is going to be some cooldowns in play here for Wings, and now they are rushing on in. They're going to be looking to go to the high ground. Shadow should see them and quickly tries to blink away. Will be able to make it out. A ward had been dropped just that second, so something that Wings might look to take note of. This mid-tier 1, though, not set for this world, as Warriors Gaming will be able to clean that one up.
Yeah, this is looking really strong for Warriors Gaming at the moment. I mean, sure, losing the Sand King was a bit of a bummer, but hey, you still managed to farm your stack. You didn't give anything major away. You got the tier 1. There's no golem for at least a little bit longer, about under a minute. And Nana, you know, continues to get his farm. He's going to be going for the Aghanim's build as well. And that is just going to be a ridiculous amount of damage output. Like, the problem with Wings lineup, I feel, is they don't have really, like, amazing BKB carriers. And you really want BKB against that team. Like, you really, really, really want it. And that's kind of the problem when you have a hero like Core Axe, because he typically builds items to make him durable, but he doesn't really want to make BKB at a super early stage. So it seems like Warriors Gaming lineup doesn't seem to be hitting like its downturn, if you will. It's just only going to get stronger.
Is there any sort of hidden upside here for Wings we can look at? I mean, when I'm hearing about the farm of this Tinker and how he's bulking up, I can't help but look over to Wings side and check out someone like Faith Beyond here on his Pugna to see if he can kind of be the thorn in the side for a lot of these fights, or the kryptonite, if you will, for the power of this Tinker. He has a fair amount of gold as he's rushed apparently straight for the Ags and an Aether combo, so he can even get that ward down in a bit more of a unique place, or he could life drain from further, he could save an ally potentially from further away. Is the Pugna going to have still any sort of strong effect in some of these upcoming team fights with these items, Andy? Or do you think, you know, it's still going to be a bit too much from Warriors Gaming?
It can be really annoying for Sand King and the Tinker. Those are the 2 heroes I really hate playing against Pugna, because, for instance, you know, you start channeling Epicenter, you get zapped by the ward, puts your blink on cooldown for a little bit. It can be pretty jarring. Sometimes you miss a pulse or 2 because of it. Same thing for Tinker, is his mana expenditure during fights is probably some of the highest of any hero in Dota. So if you're just like spamming spells and there's a ward down, you're probably just going to kill yourself. But at the same time, if he's paying attention, he probably only gets 1 or 2 spells off, stops casting, and then hopes that his team can kind of pick up the slack. But blink forward here from Afu. He's going to get a fissure to the face. But I don't think it's like the end of the world or anything for Wings. I just think they're in a really rough spot. I want to see somebody pick up a pipe. Like, that item is unbelievably powerful against Warriors Gaming.
Yeah, I'm not sure who that's going to be here. Shadow has finished out his Blade Mail, so it could be next on the agenda. He's sporting 2K, but we have yet to see what he's going to be investing in as Wings are running up and around here. Afu has been able to pop the smoke, and they're not sure exactly where he stands still. Eventually, they will be able to make a move, and he just casually blinks and hops over to the next tree and rolls away from trouble. Nice job from Warriors Gaming here. They spot out the rotation, and they will avoid all trouble.
You can see, like, on the map, too, the War of the Wards. There's just an insane amount of sentries down from Wings, and there's also a pretty good amount coming in from Warriors Gaming as well. The interesting thing to note about this game is that, like, neither team is really that great at killing Roshan. Like, they can both do it, but it's not fast. Like, Luna doesn't really have that many damage items yet, so both teams are just going for straight up map control. They're not even trying to go for the Rosh, they're just trying to asphyxiate their opponent as best they can.
Tinker accidentally blinking into a Sunstrike on that one, was able to refresh and get it back, but they just annihilate and take down that tower. And Wings taking a lot of shots here, going to be forced to draw on back. We could just see Wings in a position soon enough where they'll have to rely on one of their bigger strengths, I'd imagine, with their lineup, and that's their high ground defense.
Yeah,
it's going to happen soon.
You know, we were talking about Pugna during a very early point in the cast, and we mentioned the non-committal push style of Pugna. Tinker and Shadow Demon Luna are the exact same way. They never get into a position where you really want to go on them because they're always just using illusions to siege, and there's always a march down. So there's never a point where you look at something happen and you say, oh, we can go on this. It's just, oh god, there's march and more illusions. We can't commit to this because there's nothing to actually kill. That's going to be, I think, one of the biggest issues that Wings are going to have to deal with. And if you look at the positioning in the map, like we said, Warriors Gaming, they can't really kill Roshan that fast, but if Wings don't contest them, they're going to get it. And I think, you know, showing top lane there from Blink, not being in position for Roshan, obviously they're scared because they don't want to lose another fight, but this could be, you know, the one thing they need to actually go for the tier 3s.
And what a big win it would be for a team like Warriors Gaming. Probably, I imagine, one of the lower seeds in this whole tournament by most, going against the former champions here and putting in a lot of work as they will claim another solid kill, being able to zap down Y, and that comes just before the takedown of the Roche. So Warriors Gaming continue to be on the up and up, 15-10. But I haven't been able to check out much of the team net worth graph until right now. This is only recently they've been able to kind of take the net worth back, so credit to Wings Gaming with their tremendous amount of farm power, but nonetheless, Warriors Gaming are now on the up and up. They have an Aegis, they have sieging potential, they have, as you mentioned, plenty of non-committal push, and they're looking to take that said push down towards this mid lane. So let's see what Wings could do to pull out any sort of defense. I imagine defending this tier 2 is probably not going to be the highest priority, but they'll see if they can get a few jabs in.
It's just so difficult. Like, pretty much the only thing that they're doing is like throwing sunstrikes onto...
Sorry, real unfortunate for Afu. He tried to get a stun there. He put the stone a little too far away from himself. If it was closer, he would have got the kick. He would have got the cancel of the TP, but Shadow was able to make it away, so close but no cigar.
Any pick at this point for Warriors Gaming would assuredly mean like at least a tier 2 mid. They could just group back up, push it down. The Wings are not going to want to fight undermanned. I think that Shadow's just going to go straight BKB. I mean, he saved up a lot of money. But I think that the BKB and the Blade Mail together would be a bit counterintuitive because you want the Blade Mail to reflect the damage, but you're not getting hit if you're magic immune. So, I don't know. It's a bit strange if he decides to go for that. But I think that it's just... Axe is one of those heroes that has such a set-in-stone item progression. Like, a lot of heroes, you change at least 1 or 2 things per game. But Axe is always just like Blink, Blade Mail, or Blink Vanguard, or Vanguard Blink, blah blah blah. You know, you get him in different orders, but you pretty much always buy the same things. So I'm curious to see what path he decides is best. I mean, I wouldn't want to be in his position. Let's just say that this is a hard game now for Axe. This is like super hard. I would never want to play Axe in this style of game.
Nana is like right on top of Ice right here, and Shadow's nearby. Now, they are eating little bits of damage. You can't blink into the trees to try to scout anything out, but Nana's going to be gone. He actually looks to teleport back in. They'll cut down the creeps, but look who's rolling on in here soon. From the south, it's Warriors Gaming, but it looks like they're not going to pursue further up towards the top. They're looking to cut off the lane here and kind of just continue to choke Wings Gaming back inside their base. And look at that, Andy, it's a BKB that was picked up by Shadow, so that seems to be the winning ticket item for him. Let's see if they make it count.
He's just relying on his team now. I guess the purpose of the BKB is not necessarily so you can deal damage. It's so that you can start the fight without dying, so that, you know, Ice can find his Echo, you can get the Chaotic Offering down, and the spells can actually be used in some kind of cohesion. Because we saw earlier, during like the laning phase, when there was a Fissure into a Sunstrike or any Blink Initiation into a Sunstrike, they can get the kills. It's not a matter of if they have the damage, it's just being able to actually start the engagement. So if you have the BKB, you can go in and not turn into freaking dust. And I think that's pretty much the main purpose of it here, just so he can buy time for his team to find the openings.
I would imagine that the debut of this BKB is going to be pretty damn important. Wings need a serious fight to just kind of overturn the momentum already of this game going for Warriors Gaming, but they are playing that, you know, Disruptor Luna lineup. They have great slow siege potential. They have great ways to pressure all lanes without even having to throw their bodies in the wake of anything. Wings try to pounce over here on the right-hand side as they're able to get some vision up, but, you know, Warriors Gaming are already out the side door. They won't be able to take down that tier 2 in the top lane right now, it would appear, but, you know, they are forcing Wings still to kind of turtle up, and this is just more of the map for Warriors Gaming to continue to farm, especially with the Tinker.
I mean, I I'm very, very impressed with Warriors Gaming and how they're playing this out. Like, I looked at this series and I was like, okay, I'm obviously favoring Wings, but I watched Warriors Gaming play during the C qualifiers, and I didn't see them play like this cleanly, like having so many like objectives on their mind and just going from point to point and saying, okay, we now know we can do this. Even with a lineup that potentially could go late game, like super late game, there's still the ones who are applying the pressure, still taking map control away from Wings, taking all the objectives they've needed to, and they haven't really given much up for it. I mean, sure, there was a couple of skirmishes where they lost heroes, but that happens to every team. You know, not every fight you take is going to be a good fight. But yeah, this is a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, Warriors Gaming, we're the second team to qualify through that C qualifier, but it was pretty much like Faceless. That was the C team that was doing a lot of work. Fnatic wasn't really able to kind of, okay, hold on though, we're going to jump in play, going from back and behind. Apu looking to kind of get the back liners before they get anything off. Big combo does come out, and they're going to be able to shred apart that Earth Spirit here. They'll be the first casualty. Link already committing his BKB on this one, and Warriors Gaming pull off and do not want to have any more of this fight. Wings didn't have to commit too much of their hefty team fight right now. They still hold their rock and company, so they'll just take the one pick. I don't know if that was like a half in, half out commitment from Warrior Gaming, but nonetheless, they only lose their support.
I think they just got a bit impatient. Like, they weren't killing the tower that fast, and maybe Apu wanted to try to make use of the actually, was the Aegis already down? Maybe it was. I'm not entirely sure, but it could have been fading really soon, and he might have said, okay, let's go.
Nana caught there. They got done.
That's a big one.
The Fissure. Yeah, Fissure and Sunstrike. Call. That is a lot of money. That is your second highest net worth in the game. Being plucked. That is his Bloodstone losing charges. That is a delicious pickup right there for Wings.
Yeah, I haven't seen Bloodstone Tinker in ages, actually. I was just going to mention that. It has been a long while. I guess his function in the team is pretty much just spam damage. And if you want to spam damage, Bloodstone is like one of the highest health / mana items you can actually get. So it's a good choice. Haven't seen it in a while. But, you know, you keep giving away picks like that, and sooner or later, Wings are going to find an opening. They didn't win TI because they don't know how to play aggressive even if they're behind. It's a bit worrisome when you're in such a dominant position, and then in the course of like 30 seconds, you lose your map control.
Epi down. Tried to go for Blink. The second Blink showed himself in the lane, but he just casually walked back the second that Epi started. So that Epi's going to be going nowhere. Blink also does commit his BKB for it, trying to go for some sort of re-engagement, but both teams will pull off. That's one big team multi down, but nonetheless, Warriors Gaming, it's not like they're doing nothing behind it. They have Oddjit farming through a couple of stacks on the other side of the map, but hey, that's an Epi that Wings will not have to worry about for at least a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it looks kind of weird to see a BKB in that position, but you have to understand Wings' perspective. They can't see anything. Like, they had one ward, and the ward didn't see a hero. So, in those situations, it looks kind of weird to us, but in reality, he had no idea if the rest of Warriors Gaming were behind him or not. So,
very true.
Another smoke up here.
Here comes Wings. Smoked, hustling, doing another one of those crazy to bottom lane wraparounds that come all the way through the back door of Warriors Gaming, and they're almost in that same position. They have Afu as like the smoke detector on the left-hand side, but they fell for this once before. This time they're a bit deeper into this bottom lane. Wings are still coming. Their smoke is about to expire. Shadow leading out the front. Kangaroo is the man in the back.
Got the courier.
Courier goes down, and that might spoil all the plans here for Wings, though. There's the jumping from Afu as they look to make their pounce onto Shadow. Shadow's going to get the call off, pops his blade mail, and quickly shreds apart the Warlock, though. So that's going to be taken apart. He was able to get the Rock down. The Rock is going to get blasted, though. Oddjit rushing on in. Shadow healed up a little bit from Faith Beyond. Afu re-engages, gets off a nice stun, but there's the Echo from Ice, and dunks it around to Warriors Gaming, and they may have to be able to follow it up. They'll get the Luna takedown, too. Beautiful stuff there from Wings, and they're not done yet. Little Nova on the other side is also going to get punished. Tinker is your only survivor. Your first confident and strong fight from Wings earns Blink a triple kill and a 4-for-1 trade for Wings.
That fight was like almost perfectly executed from Wings. I can't even believe how well they played that. That was just insane. First off, they get the counter initiation. They jumped onto the Warlock. Shadow gets a 2-man call. The Warlock is actually allowed to get Golem off because of that call. Yep. And then the Luna pops an Eclipse on one BKB'd Axe. Does a net 0 damage. Faith Beyond sitting behind the tree line, healing Shadow through all the damage that he's taking, and there's no one even close to him to be able to punish. The Shadow Demon's already out of mana, and they just can't do anything. Like, with the Tinker not being there to output like mass amounts of AoE damage, their teamfight just feels very lackluster.
Okay, they're trying to catch some stragglers here in the bottom lane. Afu looking to roll on in. Faith Beyond, though, after being glimmered up, gonna get purged down. Shadow, though, jumps to the rescue and tries to get a call off, but Nana and company looking to make chase. That boulder smash is not going to get connection here. Faith Beyond looking to go for the Decrepify TP, but only amplifies the lasers to the face. He will eat. Pugna goes down. He's the one sacrifice here for that Wings Gaming push in the bottom lane. But, I mean, look at how much they gained just from that swing of momentum. They have taken the net worth back to their side by about 2,500 gold now, just with that one fight alone.
Yeah, they had a really phenomenal couple of team fights coming in from Wings, and they were also under the gun too. So making that smoke work, it's kind of ironic that it happened in the same spot 2 times in a row. And, you know, one fight went really well for Wings, and I guess the other one did too, so both plays ended up working out. But 6,400 gold, what is he buying? Oh, he just bought a full Octarine, just kidding. Blink just casually walking to the secret shop and buying a full Octarine with his money. Because that's what you do when you just never die in a video game and have the highest net worth, even though your team has been behind.
Yeah, he's never died. He's been very touch and go. It's not like, you know, I'm seeing like the craziest Invoker ever, but I don't know. I'm not a big Invoker player. Like, what is making it work so well for him? Is he just playing safer than most Invokers? Does he just know the limitations of the hero, as they like to say?
His positioning has been very good.
Yeah.
His positioning has been very good. And the other thing too is the nature of Warriors Gaming lineup. They really only have one hard form of initiation that does a lot of damage, and that's Sanking. So like if the Earth Spirit rolls on him, he does BKBs at this point. But earlier in the game, he was never putting himself in harm's way. And even if he was, there's a Blink Axe, there's a Warlock Golem, there's freaking Fissure and Echo, and you know, after that a Blink Echo. There were so many tools on the side of Wings to protect that Invoker from dying that, you know, even if he wasn't Blink, I think he probably wouldn't have died too many times this game. But Blink is also a phenomenal player in his own right. I mean, yeah, sure, he's thrown a couple of stray meatballs here and there, but as long as he's not dying in the fights and he's able to use his spells, then that's really all you need from an Invoker.
Wings Gaming will now push back on these lanes, and that is the continued struggle, of course, when you're going against this Tinker. He will file down every front and keep the pressure on, as we see Nana doing that very thing here in the top lane. So while that happens, though, it looks like Warriors Gaming are about to go out and on the prowl. Roche is up. Wings have spotted it, and maybe Warrior Gaming know that if they take a good fight here, that Roche is there. So they are rushing on in with a very ambitious, very deep smoke here into Wings territory, and they are going to be the one team now to kind of wrap and come in from behind. Are they going to be able to do so? Blink, a man who's never died, is the closest one, but he spots what's happening, gets off a nice 2-man tornado, still hangs around, going to get hit from a burrow. Now pops his BKB, Fissure comes in, a casual dunk, but it's not going to do a whole lot of damage there, unfortunately, for Ice, but they will be able to get the jump in, they will be able to get the call. Disruption save does come out. Jit commits him with the Eclipse. It's mitigated between the creeps and a lot of other factors here. Trying to run back the way is going to be Wings. They will get down Kangaroo. Blink in a lot of trouble.
Oh my
will
God.
go into the Ghost Walk, runs back out and away. Nana's in trouble, has no more mana. Magnetize comes off, but it might be a bit too late on this one. Warriors Gaming have not much left in the tank to offer. 3-man tornado, jump and call. Shadow gets it done. Triple kill for Blink. And we're not done yet, as they're going to be able to isolate and take down the Luna. Another 4-man drop. Tinker bought back for this.
God, he's not going to
back
get
in the
him.
fight now. He's trying to get Blink. He wants that bounty. Can he get it? They roll in for it, and they finally kick his ass to the curb, and they will take him down. Shadow, though, still in the mix. A buyback actually comes out. Blink is not going to have any of it. He's a man who will die once, but he will not allow it. Warriors Gaming will be able to make it back and away, but that Tinker died for the second time, Drascal. That is a 5-man takedown on the side of Warriors Gaming. Wings will lose 3, but oh man, everything put out there from both fronts, and this is going to put Wings right into the Roche pit.
My God, dude. Okay, like, that fight was so awkward from Warriors Gaming. It's kind of showing now, like, when you have BKBs against their lineup, just how damaging it can be to what your team fight is supposed to be. Because there's no reason to BKB really for anything but Epi and the the Luna, right? So as soon as Eclipse comes out, there's 1 BKB target, 2 Forge Spirits, and a Golem. It's like,
oh
okay.
no. This is taking too long, Andy. They're back there, jumping in. Shadow has to run back out. He pops his BKB just in time to avoid that burrow. Blink pops his own, and he wants to just go right in on the Earth Spirit. He is going to get saved. Nice save there from the Shadow Demon. Gets off good disruption. Blink running back it away. Epi, though, falling a bit short, and now his life getting sucked away. He has to burrow out. Oh, God, he got him. Beautiful. Sunstrike comes out from Blink, and they get right back into work, going for the Roche. Jumping could be there, and they're going to look to contest it. Not going to get it. Blink picks up the Aegis, and he quickly wipes the floor with the 2. Oh, no. Grasping at straws, Warriors Gaming, frantic to try to put themselves back into this game that it looks like they may have lost all momentum in. Nana just desperately spreading machines all over the place to soften the blow a bit, but Wings are here, and they have taken control, it looks like.
Oh man, that was like almost a disaster for one team, then almost a disaster for the other team, then it was a disaster for Warriors Gaming. But I mean, you kind of have to understand why they contest that. There's not really a point in the game where you look at that fight and say, okay, Warriors Gaming should not fight this, because there was only 2 heroes in that pit when it started off, and Warriors Gaming almost had everything up. It was just the abilities weren't synchronized properly. The Sand King goes in, he's not able to get enough damage onto Blink after the BKB was used.
Yeah.
And everyone else comes in after the fact. Sure, Afu went for the steal, but wasn't fast enough, ends up giving out his own life. But all those plays were like, their head was in the right spot, it's just they didn't execute it properly. And now because of it, Wings take at least a decent amount of map control back. I guess Nana's still around the map doing what he can with his newly found Shiva's Guard and whatnot, but he's just not really doing that much in the fights anymore because of the BKBs, because everybody's getting more tanky, and it's not like he has a Hex. He doesn't offer that extra control. He doesn't offer the Dagon 5 burst level of damage that you kind of want to be able to kill at this point.
Yeah, that Bloodstone, unfortunately, is losing quite a bit of its charge potential. He's since then picked up the Shivas here and is able to kind of spam that out to help push waves or de-push waves a bit. But as you mentioned, doesn't really offer a lot to have that singular bursting potential right now. So it kind of puts more of the damage on this kind of Luna to be able to step up. She's looking pretty decked out. She's trying to, finagle her way into what looks like a butterfly. But there is still a hefty amount of power coming out from Wings that even a butterfly cannot, stop. I'm even seeing, Faith Beyond's Pugna do a serious amount of work now as he's got that level 3 train with an Ags. So it's something that Warriors Gaming are going to have to kind of look out for.
Yeah, he lived an extremely long time in that fight in the woods too. I think Ajit was trying to kill him for like 30 freaking seconds before you could actually take him down, just because of life drain spam and being able to decrepify himself, along with also having a BKB. It's just, when the heroes get tankier, your team fight damage scaling on the side of Warriors Gaming doesn't really go up after the Sand King hits like level 16 and after the Luna has like Eclipse cast and all that other stuff. So now their damage scaling has stopped and Wings are going to continually get more tanky. The team fight potential is just not quite there. They're going to find Kangaroo.
They spotted a Kangaroo Sand King and they take him out. That's 60 seconds without a buyback. They still have tier 2 in the top lane they want to kind of shred through, but obviously Wings are going to take this opportunity to ascend into the high ground, the first high ground push for them of this game, and there is no Sand King Epi for a high ground defense. Blink already looking to go to work here. The marches are coming out frantically here to slow them down. Faith Beyond trying to be the local paramedic. I like that. Saps off the creep to get his life back after disposing or depositing rather his own life into Blink. But Nana in overtime right now trying to do that deep push here. I don't know, Shadow on the sides trying to get some sort of jump in call to drag someone out, but no target yet. Afu nearby. And there's going to be that call play right onto Afu. The second he makes that kick, nice Fisher. Nice follow-up rock, connects onto 3. Jit's going to be forced to BKB and run back. Pops out the Eclipse, trying to do everything he can. A lot of it's going to be onto the Golem. Shadow, Glimmer, trying to save up a lot of his life. Runs right back in efficiently to try to get off the call. Tries to do the soak of the damage, and now Warriors Gaming go on in. They get the zap of the blast. Ice commits in the dunk. Turns it back. The Luna's very low, but now Wings regroup, posture back a bit, and Warrior Gaming I have to frantically get back indoors here, but they get the favorable trade, a 2-for-1. Only taking down the 2 supports who already committed their ultis. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Nana is getting some pushing power here. But Wings Gaming have not left that doorstep of this mid lane.
And Shadow bought back for this too, so I think they really, really want to get this Rax. If they have to back off, it's going to hurt Shadow at least quite a bit. Yeah, it looks like they will eventually just disengage. The bottom lane is being pushed in by the Tinker as well, so it's kind of too hard to stick around. The Luna didn't die through the fight too, so now he's got 4,100 gold on top of that Talisman, so we're looking like that Butterfly is going to be coming out relatively soon. But even with the amount of spam that Warriors Gaming actually are able to put out, Wings still managed to at least take the tier 3. And with the Aegis, maybe they wanted to do more, but unfortunately they didn't quite have the sustain.
Obviously, this is a great thing for Warriors Gaming. Their late game lineup can now have a bit more time to work with on this clock to kind of bulk up even further here as they wiggle their way back down towards the Ancients as they continue to stack it up. Looking to maintain control rather of the southern part of this map, so maybe the next Roche could be theirs, but we're seeing the flexibility or actually the strength rather of their high ground defense. This is not going to be an easy game to close out from either side. I don't know if it requires those outside team fights and picks to be able to kind of close it out, but going into any sort of 5-man high ground defense is not going to be easy on this one. Wings, ooh, Tornado just a bit shy of catching Nana hiding in those trees, but we'll be able to make it out.
Yeah, the high ground, like you mentioned, is definitely, you know, a lot of the times it's the make or break regardless of draft, but in these types of drafts, when you're playing against a Tinker and a lineup with like mass blink initiation on the other side, it's very daunting to try to just walk up there and hit buildings. Fortunately for Warriors Gaming, they do have Ajit, who is insanely farmed on the Luna at this point. Like he is almost 3,000 HP. He's got evasion, 31 armor, BKB. You know, he gets that Satanic, and I guess he'll probably get rid of the Dragon Lance for something else in the future as well. But you know, they have the tools they need to actually siege. The problem now stems from the fact that they need to be able to get onto Wing's side of the map again. And ever since that top lane push where they were near the tier 2 and it didn't work out, Wings really haven't allowed them to do too much on their side of the map because they understand how dangerous Warriors Gaming can be when they get their siege going. It's stopping the siege from ever occurring that keeps Wings in this confident position.
Now we have more farm and more items coming together for Wings as they wait things out. I mean, obviously you got to at least wait out till the rock's back up, which is now just up now. So we see Shadow here, Soul Booster. Is he going for an Octarine on this axe? Is that for more Crimson Guards, more Blade Mails, more Dunkage? Is he going for...
I think he just...
Yeah, I guess...
He wants something to make him extremely tanky that's not a heart, I guess? Or he wants to heal his team when he dies, and he's going to get a Bloodstone.
That's an ambitious play. I mean, we do frequently see, you know, Shadow in those kind of positions where he's just kind of jumping back in with his last mighty call to hold the rest of the team back, but... Yeah,
I mean, if it is an
Octarine,
I think you do heal from spins.
That is true, yes.
I mean, that's some meta stuff right there, I'm just saying.
It's a Wings gaming item pickup if I've ever seen one, really, to be honest with you, but well, I'm excited about it. Anything new is refreshing in my book, and we'll see what they do with it as the cooldowns are off, so if there is a fight to be had from either team, you know, that now would I'd imagine be the time. Is that ball in Wings court? Are we still looking at the same kind of game we were talking about earlier where Warriors Gaming have a lineup where they can play with the clock and slowly just kind of farm the map, or is that changed since then?
I think it becomes more difficult when you're looking at potentially like 2 to 3 cores getting farmed versus just 2. So the Tinker and the Luna are the ones who are going to get really fat on Warriors Gaming. Then you have the Invoker, the Axe, and the Pugna, who are going to eventually get farmed. So there comes like this ultra late game stage where just having 2 cores versus 3 isn't going to work anymore. But it's a very long ways off. We're talking like, you know, 75 maybe plus minutes before those heroes have the adequate items to be considered like fully farmed cores. But I still think that Luna is like pretty much the strongest late game hero in this game in regards to what she offers, like in terms of hitting buildings and fighting and whatnot, but we'll see. I think the bigger factor, honestly, isn't even the Luna, it's Nana. Like, what does he do now with his inventory? Because he's pretty much got like nothing he can replace if he wants to keep his BKB and Bloodstone at least. Like, those are the 2 items I look at and I say, you know, maybe you want a Hex, maybe you want a Dagon, just so you can actually deal more damage in the fight. Because being unkillable is great, but if you're unkillable and Wings has 4 BKBs and they're also unkillable,
Ooh, has to go for his BKB now. Tries to frantically refresh. Quickly gets off a rocket to prevent any sort of blinks on their side. And he is frantically trying to refresh and blink his ass out of trouble right now. Oh, goodness. He makes it all the way up and over with blinks. And with
He's out.
now a TP, he is out. Wow, that was fast. He had to panic escape and he made it out.
Yeah, that was really close to being a disaster.
Oh my god. He was right next to him, managed to quickly get off the BKB, got off a couple of rockets to hope to stop maybe any sort of pursuit, got like 4 blinks off and a TP and managed to barely escape. My god.
The more I think about it, because of just Faith Beyond being in the game on Pugna, kind of makes him have a BKB, and if he doesn't have a BKB, he just dies. Because he just uses too much mana during the fight, right? Yep. Like, he's just going to kill himself.
Even now, just getting off Fu, getting spotted by that ward, but he's able to roll and TP away. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I saw earlier, you know, Tinker happened to jump into what he thought was one of the vacant open lanes to push on the side. There happened to be a Pugna ward nearby, and just between the rocket spam and the Shiva spam and the rearm, he already took himself down to half life. He didn't even dish out any rockets. It was all, marches, no lasers, no rockets committed. So yeah, if he doesn't have a BKB and he's committing even more than that in these fights, he's just gonna get blasted and zapped from that ward into another dimension. So the BKB might be a staple in his inventory, I would imagine. But,
yeah, I guess he probably gets rid of Bloodstone, if anything else, and then keeps it. So like if they're sieging, for example, he can put the Bloodstone in his inventory for more spam. But if he's fighting out in the open, I think it might be better to replace it with like a Hex. So we'll see. I mean, he's still gonna have like a ridiculous amount of money because it's Tinker, so he can pretty much decide whatever the heck he wants to buy. But it is not an easy Tinker game anymore.
And now we're having a very tense moment around this Roche pit. Roche is up now. Wings have a ward down in the area, but not on the pit itself. Warriors Gaming doing their work to kind of get a couple of their own wards down and sentries down to make sure it is safe, but something both teams are going to continue to keep tabs on here. It's a huge Roche game right now, but as I say that, Wings head out elsewhere here. Shadow's got a top lane to fend to. Didn't notice, but in the meantime, he had been able to finish out what looks like his Octarine core, so one of the more farmed axes you'll see in Dota, as he is nearly 6 slotted at this point.
I guess it gives you like almost a 50% call up time, right? If you have Octarine, because the call cooldown is 7.5 seconds and the duration is 3.2. So you're looking at being taunted like half the fight. In layman's terms, it's like playing against support Morphling. You are disabled literally half the game, which is super annoying to say the least. Yeah, for sure. And he has the HP to be able to get off multiple calls in a fight and still continue to survive too. So this is very, very scary right now. Shadow is becoming that third core for Wings. You look at Warriors Gaming and you're curious where their third core is coming from. Kangaroo, I guess you could say, who kind of fills that mirrored profile to the Axe, has got a nice inventory to kind of flex for himself, but you know, a couple of epis have been coming up a bit short. If you're not getting off your bread and butter in these fights, you know, Caustic's not going to really do you a whole lot of service, so we'll see. Now they're making the move into the Roche pit. It's Ajit on the inside here, but Wings are in the area. He is so tanky. He has 3,500 health. BKB Satanic. Like, that is a hard kill.
Ooh, Nana to the high ground here. They spot out Ice nearby, but don't fully commit in. Just poke him quite a bit. He'll get healed up. Roche now down to about half of its life. Wings have got to make a move if they want to do something. Meteor to the inside. Blink dances around the front gate. No hard commitment yet. Maybe looking to bait something out from Warriors Gaming. Now they're going to get the force, sending Ajit to the high ground here. Wings are able to force them out, but still not committing in too much. Very touch and go. Blink goes back in and sees the Roche is vacant and sees if he can muscle it down himself. The poison stacks are slowly building up. So shut up, stop doing that as he hits him with a tornado. But it's not stopping him yet. Afu looking to make his go along with the Epi. The BKB is going to be coming off now, and so is the Rock. It's going to be right onto Ajit, but Ajit continues to dish out the right clicks now, and a lot of the damage even going onto Roche here. Wings go to the south side. Crimson Guard up, Wade out. Ice goes back in with a dunk, but he gets quickly blasted down. Not going to be good enough. Shout to the high ground, gets the grab onto Nana. Nana getting way too much damage from the Pugna. Meanwhile, they will be able to get the Aegis down. It's picked up from Ajit as they are waiting inside the pit here. Shadow's stuck on the high ground. They go for him. Meanwhile, Apu getting leaked a bit of his damage. He's going to be able to make it back and away, but my god, this axe continues to live while Blink goes to work on the low ground. He forces himself out to the safety area, will get the dunk and the takedown on the Earth Spirit. Nana is back, looking to shred them apart with the rockets coming out. Why? Frantically running away from Nova, trying to make it back out. Can't make it out. The missiles catch up, and they're going to be going for Blink. He turns back, gets off the tornado, but eventually they should be able to take him down. I say that, but he's got the BKB. He's rushing. He drops the ice wall, but eventually they hop up over that wall, and they will be able to bring him down. Triple kill for Nana. 4 go down from Wings. The dust settles. The recap shows that it was a 4-for-4 trade with that buyback.
Can we just look at how much damage Nana did during that fight? Like,
let's see here. 8,412 damage by your Tinker, spamming out everything in the kitchen sink during that fight.
That is like one of the best places for Tinker to fight, because he has 2 cliffs that he can blink on. Actually, technically 3. And it's really hard for any of those heroes to jump on that cliff, because if they do, then they're pretty much just isolated there. I think only, does anybody have a 4-step on Wings? I don't think so. Oh, sorry, the Warlock does. So there's only one way to get down if you get up there. Whereas Nana can just keep refreshing. You know, there's 4-step from the Air Spirit. He can roll up there and kick you off. There's 4-step on the Sand King. There's just so many ways. Okay, excellent.
Nana commits in. Can't get his BKB off. Oh, they get the disruption off in time, but he's dead for sure. He pops his BKB, but the damage had already been done. Lead in now. Ajit pops his own BKB. They look to turn back. Faith Beyond, trying to give all the life back into him and manages to keep him alive and well. That's going to be good. Tornado off the mark. Ajit running away, has no more magic immunity. Trying to use the butterfly to make it out. They catch him with a dunk, and still Nova nearby. Saves him with a disruption, but he is caught between 3. Ice Wall on top. Faith Beyond looking to go for the life drain here, but now jumps in Kangaroo with a big epicenter. Glimmer Cape keeps him alive. Deafening Blast forces them back. Blink now rushes out. Long kick of the Boulder Smash, not going to find its target. And the ward right in the middle will fend off Warrior Gaming. They will not pursue on this day. And Wings hold Drassel. They don't even lose a tier 3. And Warrior Gaming are going to have to reset.
That was actually a pretty slow reaction there from Nova, though, to kick things all off. I know it was a pretty long chase, but he had Blink Dagger. I'm not sure if it was cooldown or something, but I don't think that the Tinker should have been able to die like that, because you're usually in a position where you can just blink in, disrupt him, he BKBs when he gets out, and he's normally fine. But it seemed to take a really long time for him to get in position for that disruption, so I don't know if his blink was CD or what, but you can't really let your Tinker die back like that. When he like bought back for the Roshan fight, ended up working out really well. They win the Roche fight. They kept the Aegis on Ajit as well, which is still good. But being forced back like this means that by the time they get to Wing's base again, it's probably almost going to be down.
Yeah, things are a bit frantic. It's hard to gauge whether, I don't know, maybe Shadow even got hit by like a Pugna Ward zap or something, but
he must
preventing him from getting in. Yeah,
that's tough. Like the whole purpose of buying the blink, right? So you can just blink in and disrupt your core if he's in trouble.
Yeah. Wings add a little pressure towards that top lane, and they do a little bit of a fake back here. They pull off from the lane, and now they smoke. I don't know if they're hoping that Warrior Gaming are going to get a bit too cocky and pushing out the lane here. Ajit's nearby, takes out the ward, so Wings Gaming are privy to his position, and oh no, he's hanging in the lane, Andy. This is a dead Luna. She has a BKB, but oh, I say that. Are they gonna pounce?
I don't know if Wings want to go on him.
Oh my god, she is running right into him though. He just casually calls, doesn't blink in, Shadow, but catches him. Very awkward start. Extremely awkward. On the other side though, that's when they commit in the rock. Nana though, with the BKB, is able to stand strong and gets us out everything he can from this Tinker front. Wings step back out after taking down the Earth Spirit here. Frantic Eclipse, but drained away. That Aegis is going to be claimed there from Wings. They wait for the second life. Kangaroo trying to create a bit of space with a jump in burrow. The lead in from Ice gets off the dunk. Looking to isolate this Tinker, and he is taken apart. Luna back behind the team, and Shadow Demon stuck on the high ground, it would appear. Disarmed, the Luna backs out in a way, eats a bit of life drain. Kangaroo again trying to help out with that burrow, but it's a bit too much damage. Fifth Beyond with the life drain, with the call, with Blinks Invoker. It's just too much to handle here from Warrior Gaming, and they are frantic to make it back out. Wings Gaming take this fight. They take 3, including both cores. No buyback for the Tinker for nearly a minute. Luna has one, and she is going to be forced to use it potentially because these mid lane racks are down.
I don't think they can even afford to buy back. That's the problem. Like, they have a tier 2 in the top lane, so if they buy back now and they don't defend this and they lose one more hero, I mean, it's not going to be great.
Well,
try
ooh, they
something.
bought back. They're about to lose a hero. It's a Shadow Demon. And Shadow showing he's the real Shadow of them all, staying way deep inside the base. The buyback will be there from Nova. And he's trying to take down that ward, but it's not going to be good enough. There's the Luna's. Going to be potentially isolated here, but he's able to get a good hold here. Kangaroo dishes the burrow. She tries to get up the right click, but that's when Ice Ice makes his jump in. They focus her down. There is going to be a disruption save, but it's only temporary here. Shadow's going to look to get the finish on the Nova while they clean up the Luna. That's her buyback. She is gone. The dieback is there from both. And this could be the beginning of the end. Wings Gaming hold out a struggling early laning phase here in hopes of clinching this one back. Kangaroo on the outside of the base here will be easily handled between the rest of Wings Gaming. Here comes Nana with the final hurrah of a defense. All on him right now to defend, and he is dancing between 4. He's trying to zap down 1. He will be able to get it, but that is the only life he will get. He gets cleaned up there at the end. Wings Gaming wipe out
GG.
Warriors Gaming, and that will be game number 1. Holy.
That was a really unfortunate ending for Warriors Gaming. Like, so many things went wrong so fast. Like the fight in the woods, losing to Luna, she didn't even get the cheese off. Like, she had Aegis, she lost Aegis in the fight, and then died again. They kept cheese on the courier, gave it to her. She was hexed while she, when she was dying, so she couldn't actually use that cheese either, and didn't have BKB. Oh man, it's kind of heartbreaking for Warriors Gaming if you think about it, because they were playing so well.